Today, we're diving into a pretty provocative idea. The idea that maybe, just maybe, the traditional four-year college degree isn't the only way to get ahead. In fact, the source we're looking at today argues it might actually be a trap. So let's get right into it.
Wow. Okay, so the source does not pull any punches. It kicks right off with this incredibly bold claim. It's framing the whole higher education system not as a pathway to success, but as a deliberate trap. And that's really the core premise we're going to unpack today.
All right, so let's break down this first part of the argument. The source really zeroes in on the massive financial burden that comes with a college education. And this number, $100,000, this is the figure the source uses as its main anchor point. It's presented as this huge barrier to entry, the price tag you pay for a future that, might not even pan out the way you were promised.
Now, this is where the argument gets really interesting. The source isn't just saying, oh, college is expensive. It's arguing that this is a deliberate system. The whole idea is that when you start your career buried in debt, it fundamentally changes your choices, your freedom. It limits your economic independence right from the get-go. And this slide just lays it all out, side by side. It paints a picture of two completely different futures. On the left, you've got the path we all know. 4 or more years, 100 grand plus, a mountain of debt, and an uncertain job market. But on the right, you see the alternative it's proposing. Just a few months, super low cost, no debt, and a direct line to making money. The contrast is, well, it's pretty stark.
So you might be asking, okay, if not college, then what's the answer? And that brings us to the central proposal from our source material, something it calls the new degree.
So here's the official definition. And you can see it's not a degree in the traditional sense at all. It's more like a DIY curriculum that you build yourself. You focus only on the specific skills that companies are desperate for right now. The whole game is about speed, keeping costs low, and getting skills you can use immediately.
Okay, so this is the really crucial part, right? What are these skills that supposedly make up this new degree? Well, the source gets very specific and lists out 7 high-value digital skills. Let's take a look.
First on the list, newsletter curation. And this is way more than just sending a few emails. We're talking about building a real audience, a brand, around a topic you care about. Becoming that trusted voice in a niche that people are actually willing to pay to hear from.
And what's interesting is the source actually rates each skill. For newsletters, it says the risk is low. I mean, you don't need a bunch of money to start one. But the effort is medium because, yeah, building a loyal following takes real, consistent work.
All right, skill number 2 is remote high-ticket appointment setting. That's a mouthful, I know, but the basic idea is you become a professional matchmaker for businesses that sell expensive stuff. It really boils down to this. You find the right potential customers, you chat with them to make sure they're a good fit, and then you just schedule a meeting for the expert salesperson to take over and close the deal. You make the introduction, and you get a nice commission for it. So, according to the source, the risk here is medium. Mainly because your income is tied to performance. But the effort is also rated as medium, which it argues makes it a pretty good way to break into the world of sales. Skill number 3 is super interesting to me, Discord community architecture. Just think about it. Almost every creator, brand, and company has an online community now. And somebody has to design and manage those digital spaces to keep them alive and engaging. That's this job. For this one, the risk is rated low. You're usually getting paid by an established client. But the effort, that's rated as high. And that makes sense, right? Managing a vibrant online community is a full-time gig that takes a ton of strategic thinking. Now, to round out the list of 7, the source points to 4 other skills. You've got short-form video editing, which is absolutely crucial in a world dominated by TikTok and Reels. Then there's no-code app development. This is huge, letting people build apps without knowing how to code. Next up is AI prompt engineering, which is basically the art and science of talking to AI to get amazing results. And finally, building growth marketing funnels, which is all about designing the journey that turns a stranger into a paying customer. You can see the pattern. They're all digital, and they all solve very modern problems. So after laying out this entire alternative path, the source really leaves us with a fundamental challenge to how we've always thought about education, about careers, about the future. And that leads us to the $100,000 question, doesn't it? Has the world changed so much, so fast, that the classic 4-year degree has become obsolete, an outdated model for building a life? The material we've just gone through, it doesn't hesitate for a second. Its answer is a clear, definitive yes. It argues that today's economy rewards very specific, practical skills over general degrees, and that the faster, debt-free path is simply the smarter one.
And ultimately, that puts the question right back on you. Whether you go the traditional route, try out this new degree, or do some kind of mix of the two, the source really forces all of us to ask, what skills are actually valuable today, and how am I going to get them?